Hey, Coach Candace here with another segment on habits in the gym that might be costing you gains. Again, many of us have a lot on our plate, a lot going on. Our time is precious. We're in the gym with the little time that we do have. Like, I want you to get the most out of that. And these are just some things I kind of observe people do. But again, it's not unique to our gym, but I see it anywhere else. Again, I may even see it when I go to my workout at Planet Fitness. And these are habits that are costing you gains. So like, you spent an hour out of your day that you could have been doing something else and you're doing it to take care of you, and that's awesome. But again, like, you could be getting more out of that session. One is a lack of focus. So, and I get it. I can understand, like, I've been there. You're like, well, what set am I on? Like, but again, are you focusing on what you're doing in that session? So something I do to help be sure that I don't lose focus in that way. Now I'm at Planet Fitness. I don't use a dry erase board. Like, I'll do a set, record my weight, and then I kind of always know where I'm at. If I'm here working out in my own gym, I get out a small dry erase board. I write down what I'm doing, or many of my clients are, have their phone open and documenting at that time, and that's fine. But as I go along, I'm writing down what I did for that weight, and then once I'm done with, let's say, that superset, I make my notes and then write down again and move from there. So however you want to track it, but be focused and know what set you are on. Now, similarly, with focus, focusing on your movement. Like, I'm starting to put in some, and maybe we'll talk about that when we get to intention, but yeah, I'll save it for that. We're gonna talk about mind muscle connection a little bit. But if you're doing the movement and you can just be just doing the exercise while you're having the conversation, and again, I get being able to talk during that time, but if you can just simply do that, like, are you really focused on what the task is at hand? And again, it is about community, about enjoying one another, but when you're doing a movement, like, focus on that movement. Which next, let's talk about lack of intention. So, and I've been trying to put some more mind-muscle connection. I know there's some people with some particular goals. So for example, if somebody's has a bench press goal, we want to talk about, like, hey, we're doing this movement to think about, like, a stronger chest, or as you're doing a dumbbell fly, like, I want you to think about a good squeeze in your chest as you do that. Or again, people wanting to grow their glutes, like, well, okay, well, as we're doing a split squat or whatever it might be, like, I want you to really think about that butt muscle, and we're working to grow that. Or similar, like, I have some people with rope climb goals. As you're doing a curl, I want you to think about that bicep and, like, holding onto that rope and pulling yourself up. Or similarly, I have people, people with pull-up goals. Like, I want you to think about those pull-up muscles. Just having more intention, and again, similarly, focus on what you're doing and how that's going to carry over to your long-term goal. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, so let's move on to not tracking your results. That is another habit that is costing you gains in the gym. If you're going there and you're not focusing, not being intentional about what you're doing, but then also not tracking, again, like, you have not as much measures as far as, like, whether you're making progress or not. So whether you did, whatever lift at 10 pounds or 15 pounds, and you just kind of put a check mark by it, or don't even track what you did. How do you know if you're getting any better, or how to challenge yourself the following time? Now again, like, there's many means of which to measure progress, and everybody's going to have their own measure of progress, but it could be something that is costing you progress if you're not kind of checking in to see how you're doing. And lastly, not challenging yourself, because again, if you come through and you go through the motions and you're not being intentional about what you're doing, there might be minimal challenge there. Because if you, now again, like, it does vary from lift to lift. There are some lifts that are just not going to progress heavier, but if you're still, I'm just going to say potentially, like, something that would have more room to grow, let's say a dumbbell bench press. Like, if you're still dumbbell bench pressing the same weight, a year later, like, there's possibly you've been missing out on challenge for yourself. And I want to say, like, if you haven't been pushing through like those last, like, as far as like when it's a challenge for yourself, like, it is okay to feel the burn. Like in those last 3 to 4 reps of your set, like that is when it should really be getting challenging, and you're feeling that burn creep up again. As long as it's not like physical injury occurring, like it is okay to feel the burn and feel that challenge. Like that is normal. That is going to help you get stronger. Or again, like commonly they'll say, like, if your face isn't ugly at the end, like, did you really challenge yourself? Like, it's not all about being in the gym and looking like everything is okay. Like, it's gonna be tough, and if you're probably making an ugly face, like, it's probably getting tough. So like, if you're just going through and every rep feels the same, and you're not at least like giving out a little bit of a grunt or wincing a little bit because it's getting tough, like, then you're probably leaving some performance or improvement on the table, when you could in fact be getting a little bit better. So because that is how we get stronger, that is how we improve, and that comes through challenging ourselves. And kind of like one of our quotes on the wall here is, where there is no challenge, there is no change. So just think, like, you don't get better at math when you're in school by practicing the same old things you're comfortable with. Like, you have to challenge yourself to more difficult math, and that's how you improve. Or just think, like, we don't read the same books today that we read when we were in kindergarten, because we grew and continually challenged ourselves. And it's almost no different here in that. But how did you get better at reading? Like, you focused on what you were doing, you sat down with more intention, and again, over time you challenged yourself, and that's how you got better. Some of the very same principles for the gym. So again, use your time wisely, but again, if it's just your thing to come in and go through the motions and you feel good, then do that. But if you really want to see progress, focus on what you're doing, have intention for what you're doing, track your results to see where you are improving and where you are not, so you know what to address, and be sure to challenge yourselves. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, as always, please do ask. And if by any means there's a topic you'd like me to address, please give me a shout out, and I'll be happy to do that.